In a single moment, your life can change. Moments with Marianne is a transformative hour that covers an endless array of topics with the best of the best. Marianne's guests are leaders in their field, ranging from inspirational authors, top industry leaders, business and spiritual entrepreneurs. Each guest is gifted and a true visionary, a recognized leader in their own work. They teach others to develop, refocus, and grow. Marianne will bring the best guest and sometimes a special surprise. Don't miss this. And remember, make every moment count.
Hello, and welcome to Moments with Marianne. Today, my very special guest is Dr. Susan Shumsky. Dr. Susan has dedicated her life to helping people take command of their lives in highly effective, powerful, positive ways. She is a best-selling author of 13 books, published by some of the top publishers, and a pioneer in human potential field. She spent nearly 50 years teaching thousands of people meditation, prayer, affirmations, and intuition. Her books' titles include Miracle Prayer, Divine Revelation, Exploring Meditation, Exploring Auras, Exploring Chakras, How to Hear the Voice of God, Ascension, Instant Healing, The Power of Auras, The Power of Chakras, and the book we're going to talk about today, Awaken Your Third Eye, How Accessing Your Sixth Sense Can Help You Find Knowledge, Illumination, and Intuition. Dr. Susan is also a highly sought-after media guest and highly acclaimed professional speaker. Dr. Susan has done over 600 speaking engagements and over 750 media appearances since the publishing of her first book. She's been highlighted in Women's World, GQ, Cosmopolitan, Los Angeles Times, as well as nationally syndicated TV and radio on ABC, NBC, and Fox, and of course, Coast to Coast with George Norrie. So without further introduction, let's all welcome Dr. Susan. Welcome to the show.
I'm so glad that you invited me here today, Marianne. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate having you on my show. Now, you have really dedicated your life to helping others and helping other people evolve and just have a greater sense of awareness. And I was just so impressed by you. I was like, I've got to have you on the show.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So for our listeners that don't know a whole lot about you, why don't you go a little bit into your background?
I've been practicing and teaching discipline for almost 50 years. That's 50, not 15, 50 years. I was a hippie in the 60s. I spent 22 years in an ashram with a spiritual master from India, Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, who was the guru of the Beatles and also the guru of Deepak Chopra. Mm-hmm. And also I spent many other years continuing my education, shall we say, spiritual education with many different teachers and masters. And when I was with Maharishi, I was on his personal staff for 7 of those 22 years, but I was in his ashram mainly for 22 years. That was when I was much younger. I have written 13 books. There are 13 books in print, and my publishers are Simon & Schuster, Random House, and New Page Books.
And I know many of your books have been bestsellers and continue to be.
Mm-hmm.
They're seen all over the world. People just can't get enough of your stuff. And I know that you've also appeared in movies, and you were on one of William Shatner's, one of his
Weird
programs
or What?
that he has. Weird or What? That was it.
Weird or What?
Yeah, when you were just talking about the gentleman that had been hit by lightning. And it's very fascinating, absolutely fascinating. So, so you've got this book, and it's really amazing, Awaken Your Third Eye. Now, what prompted you to write this book?
This particular book, my publisher asked me to write a book about the third eye. several of my books that have been requested by my publisher, actually. So.
And they get that from people writing in saying, hey, we want to learn more about this and hear more of what you have to say on the topic.
Yeah, I think they really watch what the market is doing, and they pay attention to what people are interested in. And so they asked me to write this book. And there aren't really very many books about the third eye, which is kind of interesting and strange. But
I know, I can't believe that. You'd think they'd have more out there about that.
You would think, yeah, you would think. So in any case, I'm really glad that I was given the opportunity to write this book, because I learned so much by writing it, because I had to do a lot of research, specifically a lot of scientific research, in order to put this book together. So I'm really glad that I did it, because it ended up being a really good book. And a lot of the radio talk show hosts who follow me, they've said that this is the best book that I've written. So
that's
cool.
Fabulous. It's good to get that kind of feedback, and especially because you do have, such an array of books, of enlightening books that really help people move into a new you or new them, and being able to make the journey. Because a lot of times there's not a whole lot of information out there, like you were saying, about the, with the third eye. And for our listeners that aren't really familiar with that, would you care to explain, what's our third eye, and where is it located?
Mm-hmm. So we have the two eyes by which we see this world, and we're able to see the myriad beauty of this creation through these two eyes. But there is a third eye, and that third eye is an eye of illumination by which we can see things that are hidden from view. It is an eye of intuition by which we can see, hear, and feel experiences that we don't normally feel in our everyday existence. So the third eye is located in our subtle body. We have this gross physical body, but we also have a subtle body. And the subtle body has several sheaths or layers to it. So we have our gross physical body. In India, they call that the annamaya kosha, meaning a food sheath, because it is made of food, sustained by food, and becomes food for something else after we're gone. So that's the food sheath. Then we have something called the pranamaya kosha, which is the energy sheath. And the energy sheath is made up of life force energy, or prana. It's called prana in India. In China, it's called chi. And in Japan, it's called ki. So this life force energy is what is actually maintaining and sustaining this life that we have. In fact, it gives the body motion. It gives the body heat. It keeps it alive. It is said in the ancient scriptures of India that when prana is in the body, that is defined as life. When prana leaves the body, that is what is defined as death. We also have several other sheaths, but I'm just going to focus in on this energy sheath. The energy sheath has the prana moving through it, this life force energy. It moves in specific channels of energy. In India, they call that nadi, and in China, they call that a meridian. So we have this life force energy moving through this subtle body. Now, when many of these nadi, or these conduits of energy, when they come together in a plexus, that is called a chakra. Chakra means wheel. So in Sanskrit, it means wheel. So we have 7 major chakra. We have hundreds of chakra in our body, but we have 7 major chakras. And these 7 chakra, one of them is the third eye. Okay, so the 7 chakra, we have the base chakra, the base of the spine. We have the sacral chakra, which is in the area of the gonads. We have the navel chakra in the area of the navel. We have the heart chakra. We have the throat chakra. There's the third eye chakra, which is in the center of the brain. And we have the thousandfold, or the crown chakra, which is above the head. So this third eye chakra is located specifically in the pineal gland area, and that's right in the center of your cranium, right in the middle of your head. So that's where it's located. And That's what the third eye is. It is one of our energy centers. It is the sixth chakra. It's called Agya chakra, which means command center.
You really had to do a lot of research for all that, the span of these different, belief systems and what they call chakras and what they call the third eye. I mean, it's so impressive pulling that all that information, and you explained it in a way that someone who, if this is new to them and they're not really familiar with third eye chakras, energy bodies, they can really grasp a very good understanding of what that all is,
Right.
So, so for a listener, so they're like, okay, well, I've got this third eye, okay, so, if I awaken it, what's the benefit to me of it awakening?
Mm-hmm. So there are many, many benefits of awakening your third eye. Included is your development of intuition. Your clairvoyant, clairaudient, and clairsentient abilities are seated and located in the third eye. So clairvoyance, which means clear seeing in French, means being able to see things that are hidden from view. Clairaudience, which is clear hearing in French, and that means being able to hear things that are hidden from our awareness. Things, for example, communicating with divine beings, communicating with our higher self, and so on. And then there's clear feeling, which is clairsentience, which means you're getting gut feelings, you're able to sense things. And it's all basically about intuition. So the third eye helps you to develop your intuition. And why is that important? Because you'll be more successful, you'll be happier, you'll be more connected, you'll be able to have more understanding and wisdom, and you'll be able to make wise decisions, make peaceful and wise decisions, wise choices in your life when you're following intuition.
Yeah, and we can always use a little bit more of that.
Sure.
Having that. And, it's interesting because a lot of people, everyone has intuition, right? And something that just can be developed.
Yes, everyone has that, and we can develop that. For example, I spent years developing mine. It's really something you can learn. It's just like learning to play the piano or any other skill. It takes practice, it takes dedication, and you become better and better at it when you practice and you use it. So, we have innate talent, but we can develop that. And everybody has that innate intuition, but it can be developed. And what I teach in my book, Awaken Your Third Eye, and other books that I've written on this subject, including Divine Revelation, How to Hear the Voice of God, and one upcoming book called Awaken Your Divine Intuition. In these books, in all of these books, I teach people how to do this at will. All right, so, some people make their entire career out of the fact that they had one experience one time. But in fact, everyone can experience intuition and have spiritual experiences at will, anytime they want. And that's what I help people to do. That's what I teach people how to do.
That's fabulous. And a lot, I'm sure, if we, kind of take it down to the basics, a lot of people can really understand, because you've got that woman's intuition, and the men, they don't like calling it that. They have their gut. I've got this gut feeling about something, but it still all is, that intuition, that innate intuition that we have, that they can further develop. And it's so wonderful that you have, these books that people can pick up, and really do some self-education on, how can I further develop this skill, or I just had, in my case, when I had my spiritual awakening, it happened overnight, and I was like, okay, so what's going on here? And, how do I wouldn't say control, but how do I manage this, So it really gives people the tools that they can use to move further in their spiritual progress.
Exactly. In my book, Awaken Your Third Eye, I have dozens of practices and techniques to help people to do that.
Yeah, and it, like you said, it's just that repetition. You know, it. Now, when you started working with the third eye, was that after you'd pretty much gotten down meditation?
Okay, so I didn't really focus on developing my intuitional abilities until after I left the ashram. I was in the ashram for 22 years. And during my time in the ashram, I was experiencing deep meditation. In fact, I used to meditate anywhere from 5 to 20 hours a day. I know that sounds very extreme to people, you know, especially in today's world, but I did. And I was focused solely on the practice that I was doing, which was the meditation practice, and was not focusing on, okay, now let's develop our clairvoyant guardian or anything like that. Although there was part of that practice of transcendental meditation, there was a practice that they called the Sydney program. And during that practice, we did focus in more on developing these things, but it wasn't like I was practicing it or actually using it in a practical way in my everyday life in any sense whatsoever. Then later, I started to develop this more specifically and then started teaching it.
That's fabulous. And, I meditate. And for me, I mean, and maybe it's the same for when you're doing the 5 to 20 hours. For me, meditation's a peaceful experience. It's not
right.
Once you get in that zone, it's nice to stay there. So I can understand being there 5 to 20 hours.
It wasn't really that hard to do.
Well, and it just shows that you've dedicated your life to, learning about this and uncovering, information that really hasn't been out there before for people. So, it's just a testament to, how great you've been, at getting all this information together. Now, through all the studying that you've done, what would you say is the most the most interesting piece of information you found out, or something you're like, wow, this pulls all of this stuff together? What one thing, there's probably a few things, I'm sure, but what one thing really stands out for you?
Are you talking about the third eye specifically?
Yes, about third eye, or just, in fact, anything within your practice, because it's really, it all kind of ties in together anyway,
Yeah, well, I'd rather focus on the third eye right now because the other question is too big. So,
okay.
Yes. So the most interesting piece of information about the third eye that I found in my research is as follows. Perhaps some of your listeners have heard of something called DMT, dimethyltryptamine. That is, it was, I'm a hippie from the 60s, so I remember DMT back then. It was and still is an illegal substance. It became very popular in the 1960s as a recreational drug that had a very fast-acting, highly intense hallucinogenic effect. And recently, the jungle of the Amazon has become a very popular tourist destination because those who are seeking to experience altered states of consciousness are running to the Amazon to go and experience ayahuasca. Ayahuasca is a shamanic plant medicine that's sacred to the indigenous South American cultures, and it's used for healing, for opening awareness to different realms that are beyond the physical realm. So the Agua Runa Indians of the Amazon, they've used ayahuasca in ritual ceremonies since 500 BC, and the concoction that they make is made out of plants, various plants from the Amazon. And these plants, actually the main composition of them is DMT, the dimethyltryptamine that we've been talking about. Even though it's they're natural, they're in the plant. Okay, so these shamans of the Amazon, they've claimed that DMT awakens a greater understanding of the self and that gives a greater communion with a higher power. So there's some scientists that have been really interested in DMT. One of them is Rick Strassman. He wrote a book called The Spirit Molecule. Mm-hmm. And these scientists from the Cottonwood Research Group, they actually made a stunning discovery in 2013. They found that rodents, which are our cousins, are producing DMT in their pineal gland.
Really?
Now, this is a discovery. Stunning. Not only does the pineal gland produce melatonin and serotonin, it also produces DMT. So what this does is it proves that all along the scientists, the philosophers, the people since Plato and the ancient wise men of the East and so on, that they have known all along that the pineal gland is the center of the third eye, where we can have these experiences of higher consciousness, where we can see things that are hidden from view, and that we are producing this endogenously. We are self-creating DMT in our pineal gland. This is an amazing, amazing discovery. And so that was the most interesting thing that I found when studying. For me it was, because I didn't know about this study. So for me, that was
fascinating.
Thing. It is,
yeah. And it's awesome how that all comes together, too. Oh, my goodness.
Exactly. Now, I am not advocating that anyone go to the Amazon or that anyone take any drugs. In fact, I'm very much against and opposed to unnatural substances being taken in our body. Although some people would say, oh, that's natural because it's a plant. Well, all drugs come from plants, so unless they're synthetic drugs. So the reality is it's not a good idea to take drugs because it will kill your brain cells, and I don't recommend it. However, I do recommend opening your third eye through natural means, and in my book, Awaken Your Third Eye, I give you dozens of methods to do that naturally, and that will stimulate the DMT being produced in the pineal gland, and it will help you to have these experiences of higher consciousness.
Further develop our intuition. It's just something that takes more practice and dedication, like anything. I mean, You can't be a star player and sit on the pines. You can't sit on the bench all day.
Exactly.
You got to get in the field. So, well, I know there's a part that you talk about the third eye and how that's referred to in the New and Old Testament in the Bible. And I would just love for you to talk about that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so in the Old Testament or the Torah, whatever you want to call it, that is, in Genesis, there is an incident where Jacob wrestled with an angel. And after that experience, it is said in the text, it says, and Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, face of God, quote unquote, face of God. For I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. And as he passed over Peniel, the sun rose upon him, and he halted upon his thigh. That means he actually was injured, had been injured through wrestling with the angel. Okay, so he called the name of the place Peniel, and the Hebrew word Peniel means face of God. Now, that's really kind of interesting, I think.
That's really interesting.
Yes, because the pineal gland, which is in the center of our head, is the place whereby we can see the face of God, where we can experience these subtle realms of existence, where we can see celestial realms, where we can actually come face to face with God, because that is what the third eye does. When your third eye is opened, when you have that eye of illumination completely opened, then you come face to face with God. You experience the divine presence, which is your own, by the way, your own presence. It is God within you. It is your true nature of being. It is your higher self. Okay, so that was one reference in the Bible. Another reference is in the New Testament where Jesus says, the light of the body is the eye. Therefore, if thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be full of light. So in that particular verse, he's talking about the third eye. And he's also talking about one point in intention as well, because he talks about that a lot.
We're going to pause here for a quick break. We've been talking with Dr. Susan Shumsky and her new book, Awaken Your Third Eye. So stay tuned and we'll be right back.
Are you dreading your next business trip with all of the unhealthy food choices? Well, eating healthy while on the road for business is no longer a hopeless battle. Natasha Leger, a road warrior herself, not a doctor, dietitian, or nutritionist, but a real-life business person, understands the unique stresses of business travel and has written a book to inspire us and show us how easy it is to make healthy choices while on the road. Order Travel Healthy, a road warrior's guide to eating healthy at TravelHealthyBook.com. That's TravelHealthyBook.com.
Ben Wexler is a gifted leadership development and strategy consultant for professionals who want to transform their organizations and careers. Through a uniquely personalized set of processes, participants discover their unique knowledge, how to leverage that knowledge and experience, and then put it all together with a global strategy. You're more valuable, your organization is more valuable, and the change is viral. Contact Ben at 630-881-1074. 630-881-1074.
In 2012, after returning home from Iraq and Afghanistan, Sean Gobin hiked over 2,000 miles of the Appalachian Trail. Recognizing the therapeutic effects of long-distance hiking, Sean founded Warrior Expeditions, a veteran nonprofit therapy program that supports veterans transitioning from their military service by hiking America's national scenic trails. Equipment and supplies are provided, as well as assistance with job placement. For more info or to help support these veterans, visit warriorexpeditions.org.
Are you stuck in your creative process and hitting a roadblock at every turn? Book an appointment with creativity coach Katie Fowler to turn your art and life around. Katie is an award-winning artist, highly sought-after creativity coach, speaker, TV personality, and best-selling author of An Artist's Journey Through Wonderland. Katie guides people in connecting with themselves, with others, and with their own passions. Go to katiefowler.net now to begin your journey through your creative wonderland.
Internationally recognized and award-winning author Judy Goodman works and teaches outside the box of limited thinking. Working with people from every walk of life, her goal is to empower you to be the best you can be, no matter what the challenge is. Born with the gift of seeing beyond our normal vision, she has an extraordinary gift of working with every challenge. Teaching beyond conventional wisdom, her work is described as life-changing. Visit judygoodman.com. That's judygoodman.com.
Welcome back to Moments with Marianne. I'm here with my very special guest, Dr. Susan Shumsky. We've been talking about how to awaken your third eye, and I've got a question. Is it possible to use prayer and affirmations to open our third eye?
As a matter of fact, it is. In fact, I have a whole chapter in my book, Awaken Your Third Eye, where I have various prayers and affirmations that can help anyone to develop their ability, their intuitive abilities. But that's not all that's in that book. In my book, Awaken Your Third Eye, I give you dozens of practices, ancient and modern practices, some very traditional practices such as yoga postures, yoga asanas, which means postures, yoga breathing, which is called pranayama, specific breathing exercises, specific muscular locks that are called bandhas that are really powerful for awakening kundalini and opening your third eye, and also mudras, which are specific gestures that you do to help you awaken third eye. Also meditation. There's different kinds of meditations you can do to awaken your third eye. For example, Tratika meditation is very powerful. Tratika meditation means gazing with soft focus vision. I'll talk about that in a moment. So gazing, for example, gazing at a candle, gazing at the moon, at a star, at the horizon, gazing at a picture of a divine being, any kind of mirror gazing, which means sitting in front of a mirror and gazing at your own forehead in the dark. That can really help you develop your clairvoyant abilities. So gazing is very important. Now, what I mean by soft focus vision is that you have two eyes, and each one of your eyes gives you a different picture. But those eyes come together into one focus through the brain. The brain does that. And so we're only seeing one picture. But in fact, if you allow your eyes to relax, you'll begin to see kind of double vision. Now, one way to develop that is through the Tratika meditation I was talking about, but one way to know that you're really seeing with soft focus vision is to use these magic eye pictures. If you see the magic eye books, they have pages of different colors and shapes, and when you stare at these with soft focus vision, all of a sudden a three-dimensional object will pop out of the picture, and you'll see whatever. You'll see a heart or a unicorn or whatever it happens to be, a car, or, there's different different 3D pictures that pop out. They appear to pop off the page. So that means you're seeing correctly. You're seeing correctly with self-focused vision, which means you're allowing your vision to relax. And when you allow that to happen, then that helps you develop your clairvoyant sight. So that's just one tip. There are so much in this book. There's so much in this book. For example, the Microcosmic orbit, which is a traditional Taoist practice, that's also in the book. So Awaken Your Third Eye really has just so many practices to help you to awaken your intuitive ability through opening your third eye.
Well, and you touched on Microcosmic orbit, and I wonder if you can expand on that, too, for our listeners. I found that very interesting. And
it's a traditional ancient Taoist practice from China that has been used throughout the ages for people to develop their higher consciousness. And it's just basically visualizing a ball of light or ball of energy going through specific points in the body, acupressure points or acupuncture points, also known as chakras, various chakras in the body. And as you do that, you are moving this energy, this pranic energy or this chi. You're moving it through the body in a kind of a circular orbit. It's called orbit because it's a circle that you're visualizing going through the body. So that's a great way to awaken your third eye. So many practices are in this book.
and really the reader has to find one that works best for them, one they resonate with.
Exactly.
Say, hey, this one I really feel like this one's easy for me. I can go ahead and do this. It fits in my practice, my schedule. So now does someone have to really, and this might just be a little silly question, but does someone have to really master meditating before they can open their third eye?
No, you don't. You just have to be able to get into a state of quietude. It doesn't have to be meditation, quote unquote. It's just a matter of being centered in the self and allowing yourself to open to other experiences. It's really a matter of letting go more than meditating. It's a matter of allowing and letting go. And that's really the way that intuition comes. It comes through allowing and letting go.
And trusting what you get as well.
Exactly. Trusting what you get is one thing, but also learning discernment. So that you're not just
that's a big one.
Everything.
Yeah. Well, and most people, they're like, discernment? What do you mean I need discernment and intuition? What's that,
Very important. I have a chapter in this book, Awaken Your Third Eye. It's called Navigating the Inner Realm Safely. That's because it's very important that you know where, who, or what you're getting your message from, who or what is giving you this message, who or what is giving you this advice. Is it your ego? Is it your wishful thinking? Is it the true divine voice? Is it an entity from the astral world?
And how do you discern that? Like, if you get a message and it's kind of like you listen to it, you're like, well, that seems kind of odd, or I don't know if that resonates with me. How can a person discern, if they're getting message from, from divine source, divine God, or have they picked up somebody's chatter in the astral plane?
Yeah. So that's why I have a 10-test system that I teach. So in the book, Awaken Your Third Eye, I do teach that system. It's one of the chapters in the book. And it does require 10 tests, not just 1 or 2 tests, but all 10 tests have to be there if you want to be assured that you're really getting the message clearly, that's truly coming from the divine voice, from the spiritual plane, because there's 4 places you might be getting those messages from: spiritual world, mental world, astral world, or environment. So it's important that we know who or what is giving us this message. And I have other books also where I go into it in much more depth. Divine Revelation is one of those books. How to Hear the Voice of God is another one. And Awaken Your Divine Intuition.
Good. So they have all those resources to pull from to get more information. But it's also
exactly
Awaken Your Third Eye as well.
Right. It is an Awaken Your Third Eye. There's the 10 tests, and I can't teach that in 5 minutes on a radio interview, unfortunately.
That's okay. They need to buy the book.
Okay. Or read it at the library. That would be okay, too.
Pick up the book at the library. If they're Kindle, there's lots of ways to get your book and check it out. But that's very useful information, and I'm glad that you did touch on discernment. That was actually probably one of the last pieces I learned when I was on my spiritual journey. I'm like, what? Discernment? We're using that? I didn't know we needed that.
Very important.
So it's good so it's so good that you have this as a main piece, so people get it early on, because that is important, and what it is that who they're getting information from, and because you want to make sure that you have that connection, but with who it is that you not from one of the 4 sources. You want to make sure it's really from the one source that you want it from.
Exactly, from the spiritual world. That's where I recommend you get your messages from, not one of these other planes of existence, because the spiritual plane is where you're going to receive truth. And you want to receive truth. You don't want to receive something.
Oh, yeah. You don't want
to be deluded.
That throws you in the bushes or something.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. No, definitely not. Well, and so, we really have touched on quite a bit. We've definitely touched on, how to awaken the third eye. People can definitely pick up your book. We've talked about chakras. Now there was one portion here also that talks about the philosopher's stone and immortal nectar. So I would love for you to chat about that with our listeners.
Okay, great. So the philosopher's stone, yeah, in the Middle Ages and the Renaissance, Hermeticism and the Hermetic tradition was very popular among the alchemists at that time. Mm-hmm. And that stems from Hermes Trismegistus, who was in the Roman Empire in the 2nd century A.D. And that came from the emerald tablet, known as the Smaragdine table, or the Secret of Hermes. Yes. That was the kind of the Bible of the alchemist's craft. It was said to reveal the secret of the philosopher's stone. So these alchemists, not only in the West, but even in the East, they attempt to transmute one material into another, such as base metal into gold. And in India and China, the alchemists sought this, what they call the philosopher's stone, and that was kind of said to be a miraculous tincture or powder or something that was believed to reverse aging and grant eternal life.
Oh, okay. So kind of like the chalice, that people searched, yes. Were the Knights Templars were searching for. Yes. Exactly,
yes. So there are hundreds of names for the philosopher's stone, and some of them include, for example, in India, the Soma Rasa or Soma juice, the Maharasa or grape juice, the Amrit Rasa, which means the nectar of immortality juice, or just Amrita, which means the nectar of immortality. And there's an ancient scripture, a book called the Rig Veda in India, from India, and there's an entire chapter of the Rig Veda. This is actually the Veda that's the most ancient scripture of India, and there's an entire chapter in that book that's devoted to Soma, this nectar of immortality that they call Soma. It's also called Soma Papamana or Indu, and this promises eternal life. And if you read the chapter in the Rig Veda, it just sounds like, okay, there's this mysterious plant in the Himalayas that we guess somewhere, or, there's some plant, and they have to squeeze the plant and create this Soma juice. Well, in fact, it's all just a metaphor, because the place where Soma comes from is, where do you think? Well, it's coming from the pineal gland.
There we go.
The pineal gland, which is the center of the third eye, is the place where this Soma, this substance, is coming from. And this Soma substance, this nectar of immortality, if you are able to stimulate the production of Soma in the pineal gland, then you will extend your life. You will have, you can theoretically live forever, because the body can continue to regenerate itself through this Soma, this substance.
Heal itself and regenerate and keep going. So forever being 30, right?
Yeah, well, that's our natural state, is to continue to regenerate itself. It's only if the cells become screwed up that we start to have anything other than perfect health. So this mysterious nectar, this immortal nectar, is flowing from the pineal gland. Now, there's a specific, what we call mudra, specific method known by the ancients, in ancient India. It's called Kechari mudra, and it's a technique of rolling your tongue back in your mouth and touching the uvula, which is in the back of your throat, and stimulating the uvula. And actually, that helps to stimulate the production of the Soma. So I do teach that in my book, Awaken Your Third Eye, as well as many other yogic practices and techniques to help you to stimulate and awaken your third eye.
Oh, and that's just fascinating. I mean, I could listen to you for hours, because, the wealth of information you have. It's just like, oh, my goodness. And I just love how you explain everything. I mean, you really have really dedicated your life to, helping people understand this, and it's fascinating the way that you talk about it. It really is. And I probably am not going to let you off the phone here. We've got a little bit more time. So you teach workshops for people in order for them to develop their intuition. And so I know people, they have like gut intuition, that kind of thing is how they may call it. But so once we've opened our third eye and we start developing our intuition, what kind of things can we use that for?
Well, you use it in your everyday life to solve everyday problems, to receive wisdom, guidance, inspiration, creative ideas, awaken your creative genius. I mean, there's so many things that you can use this awakening of the third eye for. And mainly very practical ways, asking questions and receiving inner guidance. That means getting advice from that inner teacher. So it's important to understand that every one of our chakras, our major chakras, has a planet associated with it. So the third eye chakra, which is your sixth chakra, which is located in the center of your head, as we've been discussing, that chakra, the planet that's associated with it is Jupiter. Now, the name of Jupiter in Sanskrit, that word Jupiter is guru in Sanskrit. Guru is the word for Jupiter in Sanskrit. So it is our guru, it is our inner teacher that is located in our third eye. So the inner teacher is the teacher that you want to listen to because it's going to tell you the truth and it's going to help you and guide you throughout your lifetime. It's amazing to be in touch with your inner guidance because then you are always making wise and purposeful decisions in the right direction. If you listen to that inner voice, if you listen to the still small voice, which is within you, which is awakened by opening your third eye, when you listen to that, then you will receive divine guidance, inspiration, healing, and you will fully realize your true self. You will be in touch with the reality of your being, and you'll never feel alone, and you will always be guided for your highest good on your pathway. You'll know which turn to take at every junction of your pathway. You'll be right there in touch with your true divine being.
And that's so important. I know on my spiritual path, from my experiences, I was, getting to a place where I was using my intuition more. Before that, I'd take a survey, like something would come up, and then I would take a survey from people to see, okay, let's consider all the options here of how to handle a situation or an issue that would come up. And, even the best advice would always feel off, as opposed to later on when I developed my intuition, I would sit and meditate and be like, okay, get some information and use it and really stand in, I don't know if it's standing in your own power or standing in your knowing that, hey, I really feel confident about these choices and not really listening to the choir. It really allows you to be more
empowered.
Self-empowered. For sure. Definitely more self-empowered and really making, I'm really big on personal responsibility, and then it allows me to stay within that as well. Yeah.
Me too. Really into that. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. So here, everything that I teach is based upon one principle, Marianne, and that is ask and it shall be given unto you. So here is how I would advise your listeners to begin to receive the flow of inner guidance or divine intuition. So all you need to do is you just sit down in a chair, you close your eyes, you take a few deep breaths, you get quiet and still and centered, you take some more deep breaths and you get even more quiet. And then you take a few more deep breaths and you get really, really quiet within yourself. And then at that point, you're in a state of inner peacefulness. You're in a state of meditation, what we call meditation. Mm-hmm. So then you do something that most people just do not do when they're in that state. They never do. So here's what you do. You do something different. And that is you ask. You ask the Spirit. You ask a question. You ask for guidance. You ask something very specific of your higher self. You ask for inspiration. You ask for creative ideas about a project. You ask a specific question about a problem you're having in your life and how to solve it. You ask that question. And then you take another deep breath, and then you do what I call the do nothing program. That means do nothing, nothing, and less than nothing. Just be receptive and receive the answer to your question. And that is how you start the flow of inner guidance. That is how you begin to receive divine messages from the still small voice within. So that's my recommendation.
And how simple is that? I mean, that's a really simple practice. You know,
it is totally simple.
And it saves a lot of heartache from listening to the choir.
You said it.
As opposed, but I mean, everyone, you have to start somewhere. You know, I mean, I've done it many times myself. You know, so I kind of look back and kind of chuckle a little bit because it's like, wow, okay, you know, as opposed to getting advice, you know, now I seek inner advice. You know,
exactly,
and
that's the thing to do. Yes.
Yeah, and that's why.
Yeah, that's the best way for you to solve problems is to go within and receive the answers. And you'll find that people like Napoleon Hill and Norman Vincent Peale and all these great leaders in the new thought field, that they all recommended that you take time out of your day and have your inner counsel, that you actually receive guidance from within. That's where the great leaders have found the answers to problems. That's where they've come up with creative ideas and inspiration. For example, Mozart said he didn't even write any of that music. He just heard it and he transcribed it. You know, he would be one example of creative genius at work.
Definitely.
Spirit genius that Einstein said similar things. So, you know, we do have an inner genius. All we have to do is just open and receive.
Definitely. Well, and, you know, Dr. Susan, I really appreciate you taking the time to be on the show today. And I know that you have some great events coming up. I know there's a cruise, so if you, for listeners, want to go ahead and, you know, work more on your spiritual path, I highly suggest booking that cruise and spending some time with Dr. Susan. And what other things do you have coming up?
Mm-hmm. Well, there's always things coming up. That's why it's really a good idea to go to my website. One of them is drsusan.org. That's drsusan.org. On that website, you can read the first chapter of every one of my books. You can listen to free teleseminars. You can read articles. You can watch videos. You can listen to radio interviews. There's a lot on that website.
Yeah, you have a lot of great information on your website for people who are just trying to figure things out. You know, it's like, oh, where do I go next?
Exactly.
And it really helps them. It gives them the tools so they, okay, well, I need to find this book, or I can listen to these videos, or, you know, I really thought you had that set up very well.
No, thank you. And also I have another website. It's called divinetravels.com. That's DIVINE. And then that's divine. And then travels, that's TRAVELS. That's plural on the travels, divinetravels.com. When you go to that website, you'll be able to find out about upcoming events that are going to be happening, various tours to sacred destinations, spiritual vortexes, and so on, retreats.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
Seminars, cruise ship seminars that you can participate in. So I really recommend that you subscribe to that website. divinetravels.com, because then you'll be notified of the things that are coming up, because there's only, a few things that happen each year, but, in future years, there'll be other things. And so it's a really good idea to subscribe, because then you'll be notified about the amazing opportunities that are coming up for spiritual advancement when you take these various tours, retreats, and seminars, conferences, and so on. So check that out.
Yeah, definitely. I have signed up for your newsletter. I know it's got a lot of great information, just like your website. So, just sign me up, I'll be there.
Sounds good. Come on the next cruise. We're having some really cool cruises coming up.
Yeah, I saw that. You definitely, it's going to be just a really good opportunity for people to take their spirituality to the next level, and I really do.
Absolutely. And to meet a lot of like-minded people, make some new friends. It's really fun, actually, to go on these events.
Yeah, that would be an absolute blast. Well, Dr. Susan, thank you again for being on my show. I want to thank our listeners for tuning in today. And remember, make every moment count.
Join us next time for Moments with Marianne, when host Marianne Pestana brings another inspirational gifted leader to help us grow. Tune in every second Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for Moments with Marianne, when the Dream Vision 7 radio network is at 1510 a.m. Boston. Or catch Moments with Marianne every Thursday and Friday at 5 p.m. and 5 a.m. Eastern Time by going to dreamvision7radio.com. To learn how Marianne started her business from the ground up, visit mariannepestana.com. Don't miss this, and remember, make every moment count.